Hello, and welcome to our chat with Amelia Rose Earhart. My name is Farzana Schofield, and I'm on Honeywell's social media team. With me today, I have Margarita and Haley, who are high school students that recently completed Honeywell's Leadership Challenge Academy. They focused on real-world challenges such as science, technology, engineering, and math. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us today, Amelia.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Perfect. Well, let's just jump right into it. What developments do you have on the flight since we last spoke?
So since we last spoke, a lot has happened. We've been focusing on not only training within the aircraft, but we've also been talking a lot more about the routing and working within the cockpit, within the connected systems to really organize what the cockpit's going to look like on that 100 hours as we fly around the world. When we take off in June, we'll have 14 stops, starting off in Oakland, California, and then going around the equator from there. Now, it'll be about 28,000 miles to fly. So obviously working within that connected space that's integrated with Wi-Fi and SATCOM services and synthetic vision, the things that really make the flight safe, has really been a pleasure to work with. And we've come a long way. We're almost there. We're about 80 days out from kicking off the flight in June. And when we take off, we hope that the whole world watches, because with Honeywell's technology, we're able to live stream the flight back home here so that everybody can watch from home.
That's great. That's really wonderful.
Thank you.
So there are a lot of things happening in March, and Women's History Month is happening this month, International Women's Day, and Women in Aviation Week. I know that a lot of these ring very close to you and are near and dear to your heart. Can you expand on that and what they mean to you?
Well, I'll tell you, over the last month, this is the time that I felt most proud to be involved in this project and to be piloting a plane around the world, because celebrating International Women's Day, which was March 8th, people from all over the globe on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook were saying, Happy Women's Day, let's celebrate women's accomplishments, and not only accomplishments of the past, but also the future accomplishments with young women like these two that are going to change the way we look at science and technology. So this month is just a lot of fun. We get to celebrate what we've done, but also what we're about to do. So flights like this, hopefully they're getting women engaged in the possibilities of flight, talking about, if they want to go into flight training, if they want to develop avionics for future aircraft. So the opportunities are completely limited, or limitless, I should say. So we get to celebrate it for the entire month and hopefully get a lot of women engaged.
Perfect. Well, I know that Margarita and Haley, you guys have some questions for Amelia as well, so I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
All right, so are you related to the original Amelia Earhart?
I'm actually not related to the first Amelia, and I'm a namesake of hers. So when I was born, my dad's last name, being Earhart, gave my parents kind of a unique opportunity. They said, we can name her after somebody who is significant in history, someone who was a great role model for women, who really changed the way we looked at flight. And so they said, let's do it. Let's name her Amelia Earhart. And when I was your age, I was kind of just coming to terms with what that meant to have such a famous name, because we get teased for things through elementary, junior high, no matter what it is, we all get picked on in some way. So for me, it was Amelia Earhart. We'd spend at least a week or two talking about Amelia in the classroom, and kids didn't always get it. Why are we spending time talking about this girl who I'm sitting next to? But yeah, it was just me who happened to have the famous name. So it took me a long time to be okay with that. But right about when I was about your age, about 18, I was on the debate team at my high school, and I realized that having a name like that and a cool tie to history, that even though I wasn't related, it still gave me a great conversation starter in every group I was ever in. So wherever I went, I just decided, I'm like, you got to wear the name proudly and go with it. So when I started learning how to fly, it led to opportunities. It opened some doors for me. But what I like to say now, especially after learning that I'm not related to Amelia Earhart, is that it doesn't matter what your name is. It's all about the drive and the passion and the amount of work that you're going to put into your project. So I'd like to think that no matter what my name was, I'd still have the same type of goals, and even if they weren't aviation related, I would still take them just as far, because I'm really an adventurous person and a passionate person, just like you two are going to space camp. And so yeah, it is my name. My parents were a little bit daring, I think, giving me that name, but I think I've grown into it at this point.
And how has this influenced your life as a woman?
It's been Oh gosh, I like to say now, well, I used to think that it was the worst thing my parents could have ever done for me, but now as an adult and as a pilot, I like to say that it's the best gift that they ever could have given me. Because, you know, it was a unique opportunity. If they didn't name me Amelia Earhart, I would have spent my entire life talking about the Earhart last name. So it was kind of inevitable either way. So they really went for it, and what it's allowed me to do is really become my own person and develop into this version of Amelia Earhart. The first Amelia was absolutely incredible. She's a total rock star, and I'd like to think that if she was around today, we'd probably be friends. But what I do now, taking on the identity of my name, is, you know, I've decided that there are so many good qualities in the people that I look up to, and especially the female leaders in history. Not only Amelia, but, you know, every woman who's gone out there, led with her heart, and followed her passion for adventure. And so I always choose to be a couple different things. I always want to be genuine, which is totally be yourself, you know, and that's exactly what Amelia did back in the 1930s. She really didn't care. She was getting out there, she was changing the world. Not only was she a pilot, she was also a fashion designer. She designed a line of luggage that was really high-end and cool, kind of, you know, neat stuff that women wanted to travel with. She was a nurse for a while. She was a social worker. So she really did things that she was called to do. So I try to be genuine and just be myself and follow my heart in that way. And I also try to be pretty optimistic about things. And that's something else that I learned from Amelia. I mean, she had a lot of, just to put it in a, you know, a context that's relevant today, she had a lot of haters. You know, there were a lot of people that thought that she shouldn't go out there and fly airplanes. They thought it was a man's sport, a man's profession, a man's hobby. But she proved that anybody that, you know, has the drive to do it can get on out there, and she broke all sorts of records, you know, flying across the Atlantic. And unfortunately, with her disappearance back in 1937, she made her way about 80% of the way around the world, and we still haven't found her plane today. So hopefully someday we'll find her and solve that mystery, but boy, she was going for it, and she went big. So I think that's what it's led me to, is really living life to the fullest and really enjoying it. You know, it's always an opportunity to meet new people with this name. So just like it's happening here today.
That's great.
Thanks.
What are some of the challenges you've faced as a pilot, especially as a woman, and how have you gotten through them?
So lots of challenges have popped up over the last 10 years, especially when I wasn't as comfortable with who I was, especially with the name Amelia Earhart. I felt like I owed the aviation community something, having this name. I thought, well, I have to be a pilot. And in the beginning, I didn't really know if I would love it or not. But once I took that first discovery flight and physically got up in the air, I realized that it was something that I was being called to do. I mean, like that famous quote goes about aviation, the little kid who went flying for the first time, and he said to his dad when he got on the ground, he said, "Dad, I left my heart up there." And that's exactly how I felt. But challenges that I've seen along the way is there's a lot of stereotypes that go along with being a female in aviation. And a lot of that is, oh, you have to be a tomboy. You know, you have to be rough and tumble, just one of the guys out there at the airport. And clearly, I'm not. You know, I'm a TV broadcaster. I've been a weather girl for years, and I love that feminine side, but also combining it with aviation and showing that it doesn't matter what you look like. It's all about what's in your head and how hard you're willing to focus and study and learn about the cockpit, learn about the airplane, learn about the engine. And if you can fly that plane safely, you absolutely deserve to be there. And this is one thing that has happened a few years back. I was walking out to the airplane. I was out at the airport in Denver. And I had my flight bag, tennis shoes, jeans, ponytail, just normal Saturday afternoon going flying. And just a guy that was out at the airport, I don't know if he worked there or if he was just passing through going flying, he stopped me and asked me if I was lost. And it totally took me by surprise. He thought, this woman is wandering around at the airport. What could she possibly be doing out there? And I looked him in the eye and I said, "Sir, you see that airplane over there?" I said, "I'm going to go fly that." And I just walked away. You know, and I was a little hurt, but I also felt really good because he must have felt so silly as he was driving away, assuming that a woman walking around in an airport by herself wouldn't be flying the airplane. So it's taken a long time, but I've come a long way. And now, you know, I just get out there with the most confidence that I've ever had with anything, and it's so much fun. When you pop up in the sky and land the airplane safely, you feel so good about what you've done because it requires a lot of responsibility and a lot of focus. And when you're in an airplane, that's where your head's at. You can't be thinking about things that are going on down on the ground or thinking about a relationship issue or a work problem. You know, you're focused on landing that plane safely and making sure that your passengers are safe too. So thank you.
So this question is from Instagram. Why did you choose the PC-12?
So the PC-12 is a phenomenal airplane. When I thought about flying around the world, I knew that I wanted to do it in a single-engine airplane. And back in the 1930s, Amelia did it in a Lockheed Electra, which is a twin-engine airplane. So 2 engines, 1 on each side of the fuselage, but this plane has 1 engine up front, the PT-6, and it's a super high-performance, high-powered airplane that can cruise at high altitudes. We can go up to 30,000 feet, and we can cruise at about 240 knots. So it's a fast plane. But what I looked at was, okay, there's ocean crossings involved, so we want a safe and efficient plane. Now the safety comes from the engine, the entire avionics system. It allows us to know exactly where we are at all times. So it put me in the position of, okay, do I want 2 engines or 1? Well, to keep the adventure side going, I thought, why not? Let's do it single engine. And the other cool opportunity was, if I do this before I'm the age of 39, and I complete this flight, which I'm 31 right now, I'll be the youngest woman to ever fly a single engine plane around the world. So I thought that's kind of a cool opportunity. And when I talk to girls, when I go to schools and I do visits with girls of all ages, and I say that, they all get this kind of look of excitement, like that's cool, you know, to do something first. And it's not about holding a record for me. I just want to show girls that it's fun to go out and try things for the sake of trying them, trying things for the sake of adventure. And also, when it comes right down to it, you know, why not? You only live once. So the single engine plane, it just made sense to go out there and try it. But beyond that, it really is all about the cockpit of that airplane. And that's where Honeywell comes into place. I mean, the technology that they've put in the cockpit is phenomenal. It's stunning. We've got the synthetic vision, which shows us the terrain on the ground. You can see approaches before you even get there. You can see buildings on the ground. You can see cliffs and hillsides. And even if you've got 0 visibility, fog, rain, snow, whatever, you can still see where you're going. So the airplane knows that. We've also got Wi-Fi on board, which means that we will be posting pictures on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook the entire time. And then the third major component that Honeywell's providing is the SATCOM services. So we're putting an antenna on top of the airplane that will allow us to live stream video and audio back during the entire 100 hours of the flight. So we're going to put GoPro cameras inside the cockpit, also looking out over the wings. And as we fly, if you're at home, you pop up online, you say, I wonder what Amelia's doing. Oh, she's flying over Africa and she's close to 30,000 feet. You know, to watch that from home and to be able to look out the window of an airplane is something that's never been done before. So, so many reasons, you know, that the plane just made sense, got great cargo capacity, great safety record, but it really was the technology inside and just the safety and reliability. That's why I chose it.
That's amazing.
How do you hope your flight will inspire young women?
Well, as you can see, I'm pretty excited about the flight. And for me, inspiration is pretty contagious. When you're around somebody that is excited about their project, at least for me, I tend to get worked up about my own, thinking, okay, you know, if this person can have the energy and the focus and the positive outlook on a project like this, maybe I can take that into my own project, whether it's, say, art or education or, you know, some project that you just want to delve into that has nothing to do with flight. So while I do want to have a lot of women inquire about aviation and learn more about flying because of this flight, it's not necessarily just about that. I just want people to lead with their hearts and go all in. And if you're interested in something, just start checking it out and start pursuing your own adventure. And one of the other things I think about in terms of the history of women like Amelia Earhart is the reason that they were good role models is because they not only told us to go out and do good things, they didn't just say, it's a good idea to be adventurous. They actually did it. They showed us. So I want to show women that you can get on out there, you can be one of the boys, fly all the way around the world, have a nice, safe, successful trip, and do it in a different way. You know, sure, I may not always look like a tomboy, but sometimes it's okay to do that. But it's also okay to be the, you know, the weather girl on TV. So you can be a little bit of everything. But that's what I want to show girls at home is you don't have to be just one thing. You can do whatever you want. You can dabble in it just as long as you're happy with where you're going and doing it with a good outlook. So, well, I have some questions for you two as we go in. I know that you just went to space camp, which is super exciting. My question is this, you know, like I've said, just telling people about inspiration and telling people to do good things is one thing, but you went to space camp, so you're actually showing other young women what it's like to be a part of this process, and you're doing it by being a part of this talk today. Is there any sort of advice that you would give to other young girls that want to pursue something like this, or maybe want to try out something in aerospace?
I think that it's like, I think it's really crazy. Just do it. If you have an opportunity to do anything that you are interested in, like anything you're not interested in, like go for it, try it, because if you don't do it, like you'll never know if you don't like it or if you like it or not. So definitely when I found out about going to space camp and the leadership program, like I thought it was an amazing opportunity, so I grabbed it with both hands, and like I just think that everybody should try something new and just go for it.
When I went into, when I got the opportunity to go, I actually knew for sure that I wanted to be a psychiatrist. And then I went to the camp, and it was amazing, and it opened my eyes to being like a pilot or an engineer, and it's crazy, and I don't even know what I want to do anymore.
Yeah. Do you both have a favorite memory from your time at space camp?
I think my favorite memory was definitely being able to launch a shuttle and being in mission control. So I was in charge of connecting the two from the shuttle to the mission control, and that was my job. I definitely think that was my favorite part, because I got to not only listen to the people around me, but also listen to what's happening out in space, and so it was an amazing experience just to like be able to launch and land a shuttle all in an hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was also my favorite thing about it. I got to be the pilot actually, and it really opened my eyes, because I never knew that being flying in a shuttle could be so amazing, and it was really cool. Good experience.
That's great. And Amelia, I would like you to kind of expand on the Fly with Amelia Foundation and what that does for young women.
So I started a foundation about 1.5 years ago, and I called it the Fly with Amelia Foundation because I wanted young women to feel like no matter what they were doing, if they got into the cockpit of an airplane or they were just out trying a new adventure, that their role models were always right next to them, because that's how I felt on my first flight. I called my dad right after I landed and I said, I feel like I was flying with Amelia. And so it stuck with me. So my foundation is based around girls ages 16 to 18, and we put young women like you through flight school. And it's an exciting time of your life because, like you said, you're deciding, do I want to be a psychiatrist? Do I want to be a pilot? Do I want to be an engineer? The opportunities are endless for you right now, literally endless. You can do whatever you want. So the foundation focuses on that, doing flight training scholarships, but also we develop STEM-based educational curriculum just like you were working on at space camp. So I get to spend my time looking at what a 4th grade classroom would enjoy if they were to take flight and aerospace in there. Teachers can download it for free, so it's a really fun program, and gosh, I love working with young women, I love working with young kids, so I couldn't be happier.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
So we have one more question for you. How are you staying in touch with your fans and followers during the flight?
Well, this is awesome because I love social media, just like I'm sure you do, and I know you do because you lead the team here at Honeywell. We will be live tweeting, live Facebooking, and live Instagramming, we'll call it, from the flight, because we have Wi-Fi on board the plane that Honeywell is providing. So that's one way to stay connected. But the other big way is because of the SATCOM services and the streaming audio and video on board the plane. So we'll have the antenna on top of the aircraft, which will allow us to live stream back. People can log on from their phones, from their tablets, from their computers, and fully engage with the flight. When a few years back, I flew across the U.S. in a smaller airplane from Oakland to Miami. And along the way, I was getting all these letters from people saying, oh, this is so fun, my daughters are watching, we want to stay in touch with the flight. And we had a flight tracker up to where you could see where the airplane was. And people were at their offices at work, and they would send me pictures, and they would have their work up in one window, and then they'd have the flight tracker up in another, so that throughout the day they'd say, oh, there's Amelia, she's flying over, Austin, Texas, or wherever it was. So what my hope this time around with the flight around the world is that, you know, as you're going throughout your day working or as you're home watching TV, grab your phone and see what it's like in the cockpit and start a conversation with somebody about flight. The big question is, of course, when somebody's doing an adventure, you always think to yourself, would I do that? And I'm hoping that after this flight, some of the women that are watching, you know, maybe it takes a little bit of the fear away, maybe it adds some interest, and male, female, it doesn't matter to me, just as long as people get excited about their lives.
Awesome. Well, that concludes all of our questions for you, Amelia. We're so glad that you can come in and join us today in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
For everybody at home, be sure to visit flywithamelia.org to learn more about the Amelia Project. And thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next chat.